if you've been called to the Finland Helsinki mission, which is heaven on earth. Missionaries have been in Finland since the beginning of the church, but the current mission was established in 1947, so after the war. So that's almost 70 years now that the church has been a presence in Finland. I believe there are still 30 boards and branches in Finland, as far south as Helsinki, the capital city, and then as far north as the branch in Rovaniemi, which is on the Arctic Circle. And that's probably about as far north as you'll go. When I was a missionary, we had enough missionaries for one companionship per unit of the church. That's not the case anymore with the increase in mission numbers. So you'll have a lot more missionaries than I ever served with. But there are 2 stakes, one centered in Helsinki, one centered in Tampere. 2 districts, one centered in Jakobstad, and the other centered in Oulu. And then there are 3 mission branches in Kuopio, Savonlinna, and Joensuu. And those are administrated directly by the mission president with no district council or anything like that. Since the mission started in 1947, most of the members of the church from the early days of the church actually moved to America. So most of the members currently in Finland are like 3rd generation members. There's one family in Jakobstad that has 5 generations of the church. So the church is established in Finland, but it's also young in a way. You don't, the history of the church in Finland, of the modern church, only goes back to 1947. The cool thing about Finland and the Finnish saints is that they love history. So every branch you serve in, you'll be able to find some books that the church members have written or have had written about church history in Finland. So if you're interested to learn more about that, you can probably find a book about it in your building library in whatever branch you serve in or ward, which I think is pretty awesome. And it'll really help you have an appreciation for, like if you're ever getting down because you're not finding a lot of people to teach, or you feel like no one wants to listen to you, to be able to read about the heritage of the church in Finland in the latter days is really, really special. The Finnish people have a really great spiritual heritage that they don't always live up to nowadays, but they still have it. And so, I don't know, learning about the history of the church in Finland really helped me grow to appreciate the people I was serving, both in the church, but also the Finnish people in the nation. I really loved it. So Finland is very homogenous. Like, the Finnish people are very much the same, but since it's an EU country, it's a popular destination for like refugees and immigrants of that regard. So as we move further and further into the future, Finland is becoming more and more culturally diverse, which it wasn't for a long time. So you'll meet a lot of refugees who don't speak English or Finnish, but they will let you in and you can try and talk with them. You know, they're very nice, and you know, don't ignore those people, because like the Lord prepares whoever he wants to hear the gospel. And if you are the person that is supposed to teach that person the gospel, there will be a way to do it. So you don't, it's kind of like treat each person you meet who isn't Finnish like on a case-by-case basis. If they're responsive to your message and you can communicate with them and they're keeping commitments, great. You know, if you can't talk to them at all, try and find maybe some church material in their language, drop it off, they'll receive it happily, and hopefully you can find a way to help teach them, even if you can't communicate verbally. I don't know that I ever found a way to do that, but like I said, if it's meant to be, the Lord will make it happen. So don't give up. You are there to gather the elect, and those elect people might be Finnish, they might be Vietnamese, they might be Somalian. You don't know. You just need to remember that God loves all his children, and you've been called to serve his children that live in Finland, whether or not they're Finnish. So that's a good thing to remember.